Libya under Muammar al-Gaddafi tried. What did they do to him? They killed him. Burkina Faso under Thomas Isidore Sankara tried it. What did they do to him? They killed him. Ghana under the Osagie for Kwame Nkrumah tried it. What did they do to him? Removed him from power. Tanzania under Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere tried it. What did they do to him? They undermined his economy. Mozambique under Samora Moises Machel tried it. What did they do to him? They killed him.
Wait, it doesn't end there. What about Ruben Umnyobe of Cameroon, Amilcar Cabral of Guinea-Bissau and Cape Verde, Felix Moumier of Cameroon, Sylvanus Olympio of Togo, Hamani Diori of Niger, Laurent Désiré Kabila of DR Congo, Samuel Doe of Liberia, Eduardo Mondlane, Marion Ngouabi, Barthélemy Boganda, Pierre Mulele, and many others.
So whenever you tried to decolonize in all spheres, the former colonizer turned policeman of the world or policeman of the world will take you out.
Since the early days of the fight for independence and the independence era itself, dozens of African leaders have been assassinated by Western powers and colonialists. These leaders were targeted because they stood firm against colonial control, refusing to be mere puppets selling out their people. Unlike many leaders today, they stood resolutely for the sovereignty of their nations. But what actions were these leaders taking that disrupted the plans of Western powers and prevented their exploitation of Africa? Moreover, how have these assassinations shaped the current state of the continent? Let's get to know.
Why do you think they killed him? You think they killed him because he killed his people? Hell no! They killed him because, listen to me real good, you touched my nerve with that question. Did you know that in Libya, nobody's homeless? Listen, everybody in Libya has either a home or an apartment. They call it a flat. Did you know education in Libya is free? From kindergarten through college? And did you know that if a Libyan wanted to come to America to be educated, the government in Libya paid for their education? Did you know that? I was there when he opened a $500 million hospital with 18 theaters for operation. I was there, and we went when he was making their own medicines. See, this was a man that gave free medical attention to all the citizens of Libya, and if Libya did not offer that kind of medical attention, they could fly anywhere in the world and get it, and the Libyan government would pay for it. Did you know that? No, you didn't. Did you know that from the oil money, every Libyan citizen got a stipend every year? And did you know that that man had no debt? Everything in his country was paid for. See? Now when you got a man that did that for an African nation and was trying to do that for all Africa, how do you think Europe felt about that? Well, I was with Muammar Gaddafi when Gaddafi in 1999 advanced, coming out of the OAU to the African Union with a vision of the United States of Africa. Muammar Gaddafi spent, listen to me, billions of dollars to create the African Union. Did you know that Gaddafi gave $300 million and the other African nations gave $100 million to put up a satellite so that we who call Africa don't have to go through Europe to get to Africa. And Europe was getting $500 million a year just by our telephone calls to the continent. Now we can call directly to Africa, and that $500 million is in the hand of African people. Did you know that Muammar Gaddafi was setting up an African development bank with $70 billion in the African development bank from Libyan oil money, that we would not have to borrow money from the IMF and the World Bank at these exorbitant rates?
Contrary to what we've been taught in school, or what we've been fed on the media, that the problem in Africa is self-inflicted. Africans, they don't know how to take care of themselves, or they cannot govern themselves, or they don't have food to eat. Donate your hard-earned money to the kids. They don't have water to drink. They don't have good road. They don't have, the lies they feed you guys on TV. Of course, the reality is more complex. Of course, we have clueless, selfish, greedy, corrupt leaders in Africa who have no idea what they are doing, and they only care about lining up their own pocket, which is also part of the problem. But to say that's the sole problem of Africa is absolutely false, and that's why I made this video. You see, Africa is a continent that is rich in natural resources, which is beneficial to the Western economies. I mean, why do you think that African leaders that try to nationalize their resources or try to renegotiate, unfair deals with Western companies get targeted? If you think that's a mere coincidence, then feel free to pause this video, click off, and unsubscribe. This video is not for you. The truth of the matter is, Western leaders, they prefer leaders that will help them to maintain favorable economic arrangements. Even if it means them supporting corrupt or oppressive regimes, they don't care. Everybody's looking out for their pockets. We need to understand this. The moment we understand how the world truly operates, then all these things will not be a surprise to us. I mean, why do you think they killed Gaddafi? They made us believe that the guy is a bad leader, his people are dying, he's not taking care of the people are suffering, let's go and save them, blah blah blah, like they were bombarding us with all these lies on the TV. But that's not true. The real reason why they killed him was because of the Golden Diner. Because he was pushing for a great Africa. He was pushing for an African Union. Because the Golden Diner was going to compete with American dollar on the global stage. A currency that's going to be backed by gold. Do you know how powerful that currency is going to be? This was the real reason why they cooked up those lies to kill him. But let's even leave African leaders for a while. Let's go to the Middle East. This is pretty recent. Saddam Hussein. I mean, why did they kill? They told us, yeah, he has a weapon of mass destruction. He's going to destroy the planet. He's going to kill this. He's going to do that. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. Bombarding us with all these lies through the help of the pathetic, misguided mainstream media. But the truth of the matter is, they killed him because he wanted to sell his country's oil in euros, not in dollars. That's the real reason. And the American government, they just could not stand it. Who is this guy that wants to stand up to, that wants to disrupt the status quo? And they cooked up this lie, said he had weapons of mass destruction, he was going to destroy the planet, yari yari yari, and then they invaded Iraq. Look at Iraq before, look at Iraq now. Look at Libya before Gaddafi, look at Libya after. And you make the decision yourself. Who is really there to help? We have a brain, we have a common sense. So the moment you understand how the world really operates, all these things, you begin to to be easy for you to see through all the lies that we are being fed. And you know what pains me the most? What pains me the most is, despite all these lies, not a single person was held accountable for all this, and millions of people have lost their lives. Millions of people died, and not a single person was held accountable for this. The painful thing is, the assassination of these leaders often leave a power vacuum that is being filled by corrupt people, that is being filled by leaders that will do the biddings of the West. And the painful thing is, these guys, they look like you and I. They speak our language. We have the same skin color. We call them puppets. Because all they do, they are being recruited by the Western leaders to just leave things the way they are. The people are suffering. They don't give a flying damn about them. All they care about is lining up their own pockets and allowing the Western leaders to keep stealing from us. I mean, listen to this.
So, what has the assassination of these anti-imperialist African leaders led to? You see, the West aimed to maintain control over these African nations even after independence. Once they succeeded in eliminating these leaders, their strategy became clear. This is what they did.
They recruit some from within your number. Chinua Achebe said in his book, Things Fall Apart, the white man was very clever. He came and cut the links and the things that kept us together, and he broke them, and things have fallen apart. And what they have now done, we have expelled them. But what I fear, our brothers whom they now work with, whom they have recruited, and who have our skin, speak our language, and are related to us, but they are working for them. The fifth columnists within our ranks, those are the most dangerous.
You see, they install puppets in power, often the very individuals used in assassinating anti-imperialist leaders, whether through coup d'etat or other means. You know what? The most dangerous aspect of these individuals, whom I call puppets, is that they are the worst among Africans. They are the most corrupt ones. They are the ones who don't care about the lives and living conditions of average Africans, opening the doors to imperialist exploitation of their country's resources. Sadly, these are the leaders who have held power across many African nations, caring only about their own pockets and status. When these puppets ascend to power, they form exclusive cabals or hierarchies that have ruled for decades. That's why, even in supposedly democratic systems, elections often amount to mere formalities in many African countries. The will of the people is dismissed, as elections are rigged before voters even head to the polls. If the manipulation isn't done through direct vote rigging, it's done by distorting the political system itself. In some nations, multiple parties contest elections, but a closer look often reveals that the candidates from each party are part of the same entrenched cabal. That's why, when discussing the prevalence of corrupt leaders in power across nearly all African nations today, we must trace this back to the historical activities of Western powers on the continent, which to some extent persist. They removed, or in the worst cases, killed, the leaders who could have established a positive foundation for the newly independent states, and then they installed evil ones who would bow to their demands and say, "Yes, sir," setting the stage for poor leadership for the next several decades. This was a meticulously planned and executed strategy by the colonialists. If that isn't the case, I can't imagine what else could explain it, because corruption and dishonest politicians exist in other parts of the world too. So why is it that only in Africa do the majority of those who gain power end up being the corrupt ones?
I make videos like this because I know that it's very, very important for us to recognize how this historical event has shaped. Forget about what we've been fed in school, forget about the lies we see on TV, but it's good for us to understand the true historical events of how the continent got to this point. And by understanding that, then we can truly start to really fight or truly support Africa's fight for true independence and stability. This is the video for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know of any video idea that you want me to talk about in the comments below. Follow me on all my socials, and I'll see you guys in the next one.